Hello, and welcome to Sleepy Science TV. You're here now, in a quiet moment that belongs only to you. Let the day slowly melt away, like dust drifting through a calm beam of starlight. Take a deep, gentle breath and release it softly. There's nothing you need to do, nothing you need to solve. This is your time to rest. Tonight, we will travel together across the solar system, through the soft glow of distant moons, the quiet shadows of planets, and the peaceful rhythm of cosmic tides. But you don't have to stay awake for the entire journey. You can let your mind drift, float, or gently fade into sleep whenever you feel ready. Imagine yourself wrapped in the silence of space, a silence so deep that even your thoughts begin to soften. The stars shimmer like tiny lanterns in a vast, comforting night. Planets move with slow, graceful motions. And you're simply drifting with them, safe, weightless, completely at ease. Now, settle into whatever position feels most comfortable. Close your eyes or leave them half open, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you allow this calm, cosmic story to guide you softly into rest. Let's begin. The solar system was born from a quiet cloud of gas and dust, swirling slowly in the vast darkness of space nearly 5 billion years ago. Imagine this ancient cloud drifting silently, touched only by the faint pull of gravity that began guiding every grain toward a shared center. Over countless ages, the cloud folded inward like a cosmic breath, warming and glowing until the first soft pulse of light emerged, the early sun. Around it, small particles gathered, merging gently into larger bodies that would one day become planets. Picture this beginning not as a violent explosion, but as a slow, graceful turning of cosmic tides. The forming planets drifted through warm, luminous dust, carving paths that would remain for billions of years. As you imagine this vast scene, feel the calm of those early motions, slow, steady, inevitable. The solar system grew the way a dream settles into the mind, quietly, gently, shaped by forces older than time itself. At the center of everything, the sun glows with a steady warmth that has never once faltered in nearly 5 billion years. Imagine it not as a raging fire, but as a calm, glowing hearth, the quiet heart of our celestial home. Its light travels gently across space, taking 8 peaceful minutes to reach Earth, carrying warmth and life to planets drifting in their silent orbits. Deep inside the sun, hydrogen atoms merge softly into helium, releasing a constant pulse of light and heat that bathes the solar system in golden calm. As you picture the sun floating in dark space, imagine its glow spreading across an endless black canvas, turning cold emptiness into a warm, comforting presence. That soft radiance, steady and unhurried, mirrors a slow heartbeat, strong, quiet, eternal. As this image settles in your mind, your breath begins to follow its rhythm, slow, warm, and deeply calming. Closest to the sun, Mercury moves with swift but silent grace, circling the star in just 88 days. Its surface is calm in a way only deep space can be. No wind, no rain, only quiet sunlight falling on ancient craters. Imagine standing on Mercury's rocky surface, watching the sun rise as an enormous glowing disk, 3 times larger than we see from Earth. There is no sound here, no air to carry noise, only stillness. The planet warms and cools drastically, shifting from blazing heat to frozen darkness, yet its motion remains smooth and predictable. As you drift through this thought, feel the simplicity of Mercury's existence, a small, steadfast traveler moving through space in peaceful solitude, its rhythm unchanged for billions of years. Venus is wrapped in thick, golden clouds that move like slow, swirling curtains across the sky. Though the surface below is extremely hot, the planet's upper atmosphere is surprisingly gentle, with winds that flow like soft ribbons weaving their way around the world. Imagine drifting through these clouds in a quiet balloon, surrounded by warm golden mist glowing with reflected sunlight. The sky here feels heavy yet dreamlike, as if floating in a sea of light. Beneath the clouds, the planet rotates so slowly that a single day lasts longer than a Venusian year. As you imagine this sluggish turning, let your own thoughts slow to match it. Venus becomes a symbol of quiet persistence, a glowing world wrapped in layers of calm. From space, Earth glows in soft shades of blue, white, and gentle green. Imagine watching clouds drift across its surface like slow-moving cotton, covering oceans that shimmer with calm reflections of sunlight. Earth is unique, not just for life, but for the delicate balance of water, air, and warmth that wraps around it like a protective blanket. The planet breathes through forests, oceans, and winds, creating a rhythm that mirrors your own steady inhale and exhale. As you picture Earth turning slowly in darkness, feel the comfort of its familiar glow. It is both home and haven, a gentle blue sanctuary drifting peacefully through space. The moon moves around Earth in a slow, calming orbit, always keeping the same face turned toward us like a loyal companion. Imagine its surface, soft gray dust, frozen craters, and sunlight that falls without a sound. In the stillness of space, the moon influences Earth gently, pulling at the oceans and creating tides that rise and fall like breathing. As you imagine the moon hanging silently in the night sky, glowing with borrowed sunlight, a sense of peace settles into your mind. It is ancient, unchanged, and endlessly steady, just like the calm rhythm you are easing into now. Mars is a world of endless desert plains, soft red dunes, and gentle winds that whisper across its surface. Imagine walking across this quiet landscape, the sky tinted pink by dust, the horizon stretching into serene emptiness. Ancient riverbeds rest silently, reminders of water long gone. The air is thin, the world cool, the silence profound. Mars turns slowly under the sun, offering tranquil sunrises and long shadows that drift peacefully across the desert. As you picture this calm world, your breath steadies, matching the planet's quiet, patient rotation. Jupiter is a gas giant so large it could hold over 1,000 Earths, yet it drifts through space with gentle majesty. Imagine its swirling clouds, bands of soft color stretching across its surface like brushstrokes on a massive canvas. The Great Red Spot, though powerful, turns slowly like a calm storm scene from far away, quiet, distant, almost hypnotic. Deep inside Jupiter, pressure shapes gas into warm, dense layers, forming a world of soft gradients and muted light. As you imagine this massive planet floating with effortless grace, your thoughts expand and relax, drifting like clouds in its vast atmosphere. Saturn's rings shimmer like delicate frozen ribbons, circling the planet in silent, graceful arcs. Imagine drifting close to these rings, watching billions of tiny ice crystals reflect sunlight in soft glimmers. They move gently, forming patterns shaped by gravity's subtle hand. Saturn itself turns calmly beneath this halo of light, wrapped in pale gold clouds. As you picture Saturn floating in deep space, surrounded by its ethereal rings, the scene feels like a cosmic lullaby, steady, beautiful, serene. Uranus and Neptune drift at the edge of the solar system, glowing in cool shades of blue. Their atmospheres move in slow, sweeping winds that carry icy clouds around the planets with dreamlike smoothness. Imagine watching these distant giants rotate quietly, their faint sunlight giving them a pale, soft glow. The space around them is still and vast, untouched by noise. As you imagine the calm, endless blue surrounding these planets, a similar coolness settles in your mind, steady, deep, and soothing, like drifting into restful sleep. Between Mars and Jupiter lies the asteroid belt, a vast region filled with rocky bodies that drift silently through space like slow-moving boats on a dark cosmic sea. Despite what movies show, these asteroids are spread incredibly far apart, so far that each one floats in its own bubble of quiet solitude. Imagine gliding through this region in a peaceful spacecraft, passing lonely stones that have been unchanged for billions of years. Some are rugged and dark, others pale and smooth, each one a frozen memory from the earliest days of the solar system. The belt is a place of calm, where nothing rushes or collides in chaos. Instead, everything follows gentle orbits shaped by the sun's distant pull. As you picture these ancient rocks drifting in slow, predictable paths, your thoughts begin to drift the same way, unhurried, soft, floating toward rest. Ceres, the largest object in the asteroid belt, is a small, round world covered in gentle plains and icy minerals. Imagine standing on its calm surface, where gravity is so light that your steps feel like slow-motion leaps. The faint sunlight here casts soft gray shadows across wide, peaceful landscapes. Beneath the surface, salty water once created an ocean, and even now traces of that ancient liquid whisper through the crust. Ceres rotates gently, offering long, quiet days and soft nights under a star-filled sky. As you imagine this tranquil dwarf planet drifting through space, its stillness wraps around your thoughts, quieting them like dust settling in untouched silence. Far beyond Neptune lies the Kuiper Belt, a serene region filled with icy bodies drifting in vast, cold darkness. Here, sunlight arrives as a pale glow, barely touching the surfaces of distant frozen worlds. Imagine traveling through this icy expanse, where Pluto, Eris, Haumea, and Makemake glide slowly along their distant orbits. Nothing rushes here. The cold quiet slows everything. Objects drift like frozen lanterns suspended in dark water. As you imagine moving through this silent region, you feel the same slow peace settle inside you, cooling restless thoughts and sending soft waves of calm through your mind. Pluto, once considered the ninth planet, is a distant, icy world bathed in soft twilight. Its surface glows with pale blue haze as sunlight filters through delicate layers of thin atmosphere. Imagine standing on Pluto's frosty plains, looking up at a sky where the sun appears no brighter than a star. The landscape feels dreamlike, smooth nitrogen ice, tall frozen mountains, and subtle shadows stretching across endless plains. Pluto rotates slowly, creating long, peaceful nights and gentle, soft-lit days. As you imagine this distant world, its quiet isolation becomes comforting, reminding you that stillness can be beautiful and profound. Comets drift through the solar system like ancient travelers, spending most of their time in deep, cold darkness. Their icy surfaces sleep for centuries until the sun's warmth gently awakens them, forming glowing tails of dust and gas. Imagine watching a comet from afar, its tail stretching behind it like a luminous ribbon floating through space. The motion is slow, unhurried, serene. These glowing wanderers remind us that even in long periods of stillness, beauty can emerge with the right warmth. As you imagine their graceful paths, your mind follows, trailing softly into peaceful thoughts. When tiny fragments of space rock enter Earth's atmosphere, they burn softly, creating bright streaks across the night sky. These meteors appear sudden but vanish quietly, their brief glow leaving behind a sense of tranquility. Imagine lying under a dark sky during a meteor shower, wrapped in something warm, watching streaks of light glide silently overhead. Each one is a whisper from the cosmos, a small spark passing peacefully through the air. As you imagine these gentle flashes, your breath slows, matching the calm rise and fall of the night around you. The sun constantly releases a stream of charged particles called the solar wind, but despite its strength, it spreads through space like a gentle cosmic breeze. Imagine this wind drifting past planets, touching magnetic fields, and creating soft auroras that shimmer in silent waves. It moves without sound, carrying echoes of the sun's warmth to the farthest reaches of the solar system. As you picture this invisible breeze, imagine it brushing softly across your mind too, sweeping away the last traces of tension. Auroras appear when solar wind meets a planet's magnetic field, creating curtains of soft green, purple, and blue light that ripple across the sky. Imagine standing under such a display, no sound, only slow waves of color drifting across the darkness. The lights move like silk ribbons carried by a gentle tide. On Earth, and even on Jupiter and Saturn, these auroras paint the sky with calming motion. As you imagine these glowing curtains, your thoughts begin to sway in the same rhythm, quietly, peacefully. The entire solar system travels around the Milky Way, drifting through the galaxy like a calm boat on a vast cosmic river. This journey takes over 200 million years to complete. Imagine the sun, with all its planets, moons, and tiny bodies, moving together through silent interstellar space. The motion is smooth and constant, unhindered by obstacles. As you imagine this gentle drift across the galaxy, feel your own thoughts move with it, steady, weightless, relaxed. Far beyond the planets, beyond even the Kuiper Belt, lies the Oort cloud, a massive sphere of icy bodies surrounding the solar system like a soft, distant shell. Here, the sun appears only as a faint star, barely touching the cold with its light. Imagine this place: absolute stillness, frozen darkness, trillions of tiny icy worlds resting in quiet suspension. Nothing hurries, nothing disturbs the peace. As you imagine entering this vast, silent cloud, your mind becomes as calm as the frozen orbits drifting endlessly through cosmic night. Jupiter's moons drift around the giant planet like a family of quiet travelers following an ancient path carved by gravity's patient hand. Each moon, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, moves with a calm rhythm, circling Jupiter in silent companionship. Imagine watching them from afar, seeing four small lights drifting around a massive, glowing world, their motion steady and soothing. Europa carries a global ocean hidden beneath an icy shell, and this ocean moves with slow tides pulled by Jupiter's enormous gravity. Ganymede, the largest moon in the solar system, rotates gently, its frozen plains catching faint sunlight. Even Io, alive with volcanic energy, sends plumes upward that rise silently in space where no sound travels. Together, these moons resemble a serene mobile hanging in a dark nursery of stars. As Jupiter turns with regal calm, its moons follow like dancers in a quiet cosmic ballet, each one keeping perfect time. Picture the entire scene drifting through endless night, slow, weightless, deeply peaceful. As you visualize their orbits, your thoughts begin to circle just as smoothly, slowing into gentle repetition, leading your mind toward a state of steady, restful quiet. Titan, Saturn's largest moon, is wrapped in a thick, golden-orange atmosphere that softens every outline and quiets every movement. Imagine standing beneath this hazy sky, where sunlight filters through the mist like dim lantern light, painting everything in warm amber tones. The air is thick and heavy, moving slowly around towering dunes and frozen lakes of methane that shimmer softly under the muted glow. Titan's gravity is gentle, allowing each step to feel light and airy, as though you're walking through a slow-motion dream. Winds move across the dunes with quiet persistence, shaping their curves into smooth, calming waves. Rivers carved long ago wind their way toward dark, reflective seas, all formed by liquids colder than anything found on Earth. Yet the landscape feels peaceful, silent, steady, suspended in eternal twilight. As you imagine breathing in this thick, cool air, a sense of deep calm settles inside you, mirroring Titan's tranquil stillness. The entire moon seems to move at a slower rhythm, inviting your thoughts to glide just as softly, drifting into a warm, amber calm where nothing rushes and everything flows gently toward rest. Neptune, the farthest giant planet, glows like a deep sapphire lantern drifting in the cold reaches of space. Its winds, though powerful, move in smooth, sweeping motions across the planet's soft blue atmosphere, creating swirling patterns that resemble slow-moving strokes of watercolor on a vast canvas. Imagine floating above Neptune, watching its serene storms circle in peaceful spirals. The sunlight here is faint, just a pale whisper of golden light reaching across billions of kilometers, but it gives the planet a gentle shimmer. Beneath the clouds, layers of gas blend into deeper blues, forming a gradient that feels endless. Neptune rotates with quiet grace, completing a day in just 16 hours, yet nothing about its movement feels rushed. Its moon Triton follows along in a retrograde orbit, drifting backward in a calm, unusual dance that sets it apart from other moons. As you picture this distant blue world turning in near silence, the cold tranquility of space around it seems to spread into your mind. You feel your thoughts cooling, slowing, softening, moving with the same calm currents that circle Neptune's peaceful atmosphere. Rings are not unique to Saturn. Uranus and Neptune also wear delicate bands of ice and rock that drift around them in whisper-quiet loops. Imagine approaching Uranus, its pale blue sphere tilted dramatically on its side, with thin rings slicing gently through space like perfectly placed strokes of silver. These rings are darker and more subtle than Saturn's, made of icy dust and small stones that move with slow, rhythmic grace. Farther out, Neptune's rings appear faint, almost shy, illuminated only by the weakest sunlight. Their particles drift in gentle arcs, guided by tiny moonlets that quietly shepherd them, keeping each ring in its soft, curved shape. As you imagine gliding through these rings, you feel surrounded by specks of frozen starlight floating in peaceful silence. The vastness around you amplifies the calm, like standing in a quiet snowfall where every flake drifts at its own unhurried pace. The icy particles reflect faint glimmers of sunlight, creating a soft halo around their planets. As this image settles in your mind, your thoughts drift into similar patterns, calm, circular, unbroken, guiding you toward steady rest. The inner solar system, from Mercury to Mars, is a region bathed in warm sunlight, where planets move in smooth, predictable paths shaped by the sun's steady glow. Imagine drifting just above this region, watching each planet trace its orbit like a brushstroke on a giant cosmic canvas. Mercury moves closest, quick but silent, while Venus glows softly beneath its cloudy veil. Earth, full of color and motion, rotates with gentle balance, and Mars follows with quiet determination, its red deserts warmed by faint sunlight. Asteroids drift between Mars and Jupiter like tiny lanterns spaced across a vast, dark hall. Everything here follows an ancient pattern, repeating its motion with calm precision. The sunlight that fills this region spreads evenly, becoming softer as distance increases, like a warm blanket that gently thins out toward the outer planets. As you imagine this sunlit expanse, your thoughts begin to align with the planet's predictable journeys, smooth, constant, reassuring. Every orbit becomes a reminder that even in a vast universe, there is rhythm, harmony, and calmness woven into the very structure of space. Phobos and Deimos, the two small moons of Mars, drift quietly around the red planet like shy companions following a gentle rhythm. Unlike the large, spherical moons of giant planets, these moons are oddly shaped, more like soft, rounded stones wandering through silent space. Imagine floating above Mars as Phobos passes beneath you, its surface covered in fine grooves and muted craters. It orbits so quickly that it rises and sets twice in a single Martian day, crossing the sky like a quiet shadow. Deimos, smaller and farther away, moves more slowly, tracing a peaceful arc across the faint pink sky. The two moons never light up the heavens dramatically. Instead, they offer soft glimmers, pale reflections of sunlight drifting through dusty air. Their presence makes Mars feel less lonely, as if the planet has two gentle guardians watching over it. As you imagine these tiny moons following their ancient, unbroken paths, your thoughts begin to drift in the same circular motion, steady, predictable, comforting. Their quiet orbits encourage you to loosen your grip on the day, letting your mind settle into smooth, repetitive calm, just like the little moons tracing soft loops around their desert world. Jupiter possesses the most powerful magnetic field of any planet in the solar system. Yet from a distance, it behaves like a vast, invisible cocoon wrapping the giant world in gentle protection. Imagine this magnetic field not as a harsh, electric barrier, but as a soft glow extending millions of kilometers into space. Within this massive bubble, charged particles drift slowly, creating shimmering auroras at Jupiter's poles, vast circles of light far larger than Earth, but still moving in a calm, hypnotic dance. Though the magnetic field generates radio waves, space carries no sound, so everything unfolds in complete silence. Even the powerful storms deep within Jupiter's atmosphere appear muted from afar, like distant weather seen through thick, blue-tinted glass. The planet's rotation, fast yet graceful, stirs its magnetic field into broad, sweeping motions that feel like the slow turning of an enormous wheel. As you imagine drifting along this invisible boundary, watching auroras bloom over Jupiter's cloud tops, the immensity and serenity of the scene create a sense of weightless stillness inside you. Your thoughts soften, aligning with the cosmic hush that fills the giant's magnetic embrace. Saturn, the Lord of Rings, is surrounded by more than 140 moons, each one a tiny world drifting in gentle orbits that form a celestial family. Imagine watching this system from afar, moons large and small moving in calm, predictable arcs, all floating within Saturn's vast gravitational field. Enceladus glistens with icy fissures that release delicate plumes into space, like silver threads unraveling in slow motion. Rhea, a quiet, cratered sphere, reflects sunlight with soft white brightness. Mimas resembles a peaceful, frozen eye gazing outward. And then there is Titan, warm-toned, hazy, serene, moving through its thick atmosphere like a distant dream. Each moon contributes its own quiet melody to Saturn's peaceful arrangement. Their orbits never clash, never rush. They follow ancient paths traced long before humanity existed. As you imagine this collection of silvery worlds drifting around a golden giant, the calm geometry of their motion settles into your mind. Your thoughts begin to orbit gently too, slow loops of peaceful repetition, and with each mental rotation, the weight of the day slips further away. The entire solar system is wrapped in a vast, gentle bubble called the heliosphere, a region shaped by the sun's extended breath as it pushes outward into interstellar space. Imagine this bubble as a soft, shimmering veil expanding in all directions, carrying the sun's influence far beyond the planets. Inside it, solar particles drift slowly, losing strength until they meet the quiet resistance of the galaxy beyond. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 spacecraft now drift near the edge of this immense boundary, moving through a gentle twilight zone where the sun's presence fades into the cold calm of the Milky Way. This boundary, called the heliopause, is not a harsh wall but a peaceful blending of two realms, solar winds slowing to a whisper as interstellar space rises to meet them. As you imagine standing at the edge of this giant bubble, you feel suspended between two quiet infinities, the warmth of the sun behind you and the cool darkness of the galaxy ahead. The vastness around you softens your thoughts, stretching them into slow, drifting shapes that float effortlessly, like dust motes in a sunbeam. Every planet, moon, asteroid, and comet in the solar system moves according to a rhythm so steady it resembles a cosmic clock, one powered not by ticking gears, but by smooth gravitational flows. Imagine stepping outside the universe and looking back at the solar system as though it were a giant, glowing model suspended in darkness. Each planet follows its orbit with unbroken consistency, completing cycles that repeat for billions of years. The inner planets trace small, warm loops close to the sun, while the outer giants draw wide, elegant arcs through cooler space. Even tiny asteroids glide through their paths with gentle predictability. No object rushes. No motion is wasted. Everything follows the calm rules of gravity's embrace. As you imagine this grand clockwork, turning so slowly you can barely perceive its movement, your breath naturally aligns with its steady pace. The solar system becomes a reminder that there is harmony even in vastness, balance even in emptiness. And as this image settles in your mind, your thoughts begin to move with the same tranquil precision, drifting into a state where rest feels natural and effortless. Earth is wrapped in a vast magnetic field that stretches far into space, forming a protective cocoon that shields the planet from solar winds. Imagine this magnetic field as a soft, invisible aurora shaped like wings extending outward, shimmering gently as charged particles glide across it. Though extremely powerful, it behaves with deep calm, like a giant, unseen guardian watching over the world. Above the poles, the interaction between Earth's field and the solar wind creates auroras that ripple silently through the sky. These glowing arcs bend and wave like soft curtains, illuminating the night with peaceful color. Deep within Earth's core, molten iron slowly churns, generating the magnetic field through serene, rhythmic motion that has continued for billions of years. Picture this molten sea turning like a giant, slow heartbeat, steady and reliable. As the magnetic field stretches outward, it forms a smooth bubble around the planet, gently diverting harmful particles away. When you imagine Earth floating through space wrapped in this quiet shield, your thoughts begin to feel similarly protected, softened, secure, and deeply grounded. The world becomes a peaceful cradle, and your mind settles easily into its safe, steady rhythms. Throughout the solar system, there are special places called Lagrange points, regions where gravitational forces balance perfectly, allowing objects to remain suspended in gentle equilibrium. Imagine these points as calm eddies in a vast cosmic river, places where satellites or asteroids can rest without drifting away. The Earth-Moon system has 5 of these serene pockets, and the Earth-Sun system has 5 more. At these locations, gravity from 2 massive bodies pulls with equal strength, creating a region of stillness in the ever-moving solar dance. The James Webb Space Telescope sits at one such point, L2, quietly observing the universe from a stable, balanced perch. Imagine the telescope floating there, surrounded by darkness, warmed only by faint sunlight. There is no turbulence here, only deep, peaceful silence. These Lagrange points act as cosmic resting spots, calm islands within the gravitational tides. As you envision drifting at one of these points, suspended in perfect balance, your mind begins to mirror that same state. Thoughts slowing, settling, hovering gently like a feather in a windless room. Most of the solar system's planets orbit within a single, flat sheet of space called the ecliptic. Imagine this plane as a giant, invisible disk stretching across the solar system like a calm, cosmic lake. Each planet follows its path along this quiet surface, moving gently around the sun in a coordinated, graceful formation. From above, the planets resemble beads sliding along circular grooves carved into a dark, polished mirror. Even the asteroids, dwarf planets, and icy bodies of the Kuiper Belt roughly follow this same flattened structure. This alignment is a reminder of the solar system's shared origin, a rotating disk of dust and gas that slowly collapsed into the sun and planets. As you imagine looking down upon this plane, you see everything moving with quiet order. No chaotic jumps, no sudden changes, just smooth arcs and soft curvature. The entire solar system appears as a serene mandala, turning with infinite patience. As this image unfolds in your mind, your own thoughts begin to flatten into a single quiet layer, calm, steady, and gently aligned. Vesta, one of the largest objects in the asteroid belt, is a relic from the solar system's earliest days, a small, shining world that nearly became a planet. Its surface is bright, reflecting sunlight with a soft silvery glow. Imagine floating above Vesta, watching sunlight spill across its rugged mountains and deep craters. Unlike many asteroids, Vesta has layers, a crust, mantle, and core, giving it the quiet dignity of a miniature world. Its history tells of ancient collisions, yet it endures, drifting through space with calm resilience. The Dawn spacecraft once orbited Vesta, capturing images of its gentle landscapes, slopes dusted with fine regolith, crater rims softened by ages of micro-impacts, and a colossal basin at the South Pole, like a frozen blossom pressed into stone. Vesta rotates steadily, completing a day in just over 5 hours, yet its calm presence feels timeless. As you imagine this bright survivor drifting silently through the asteroid belt, a sense of durability settles into your thoughts. You feel the quiet strength of endurance, softened by the peaceful motion of a world that has floated for billions of years. Every planet in the solar system experiences seasons in its own way, shaped by the tilt of its axis and the steady path of its orbit. Earth's seasons bring gentle shifts: spring blossoms, summer warmth, autumn leaves, winter snow. Imagine watching these changes from space, seeing the colors of Earth flow in slow, soothing cycles. Mars, too, experiences seasons. Its thin atmosphere allows frost to gather on its poles during long winters, then release slowly when sunlight returns. Saturn's seasons last over 7 Earth years, bringing gradual changes in ring shadows and atmospheric hues. Uranus, tilted so dramatically that it rolls through space on its side, experiences seasons with surreal extremes, each pole bathed in continuous sunlight for decades before sinking into long twilight. Yet despite these differences, all planets follow quiet, repeating rhythms shaped by the sun's distant glow. As you imagine these seasonal cycles turning slowly across multiple worlds, your thoughts begin to follow their gentle patterns, circling, cooling, warming, settling, like the steady turning of a cosmic wheel. The predictability calms you, inviting your mind into an easy, restful flow. Venus rotates so slowly that a single day on its surface lasts longer than an entire Venusian year. Imagine this world turning with the pace of a long, deep breath, slow, deliberate, unhurried. Because of this sluggish rotation, the sunlight on Venus creeps across the landscape in a soft, gradual glow, as if the planet is permanently caught between dawn and dusk. High above the scorching surface, Venus cloud tops are cool and calm, bathed in golden light that diffuses through thick layers of mist. Imagine drifting through this upper atmosphere in a quiet balloon, surrounded by warm, honey-colored clouds that stretch endlessly in every direction. The winds here move steadily, carrying you around the planet in smooth, circular currents. Below, the landscape remains hidden beneath a dreamy shroud. The entire world feels slow, timeless, suspended, like a distant lantern glowing softly in a vast night. As you picture Venus rotating with such gentle patience, Your own thoughts begin to slow to match it. Every worry loosens its grip. Every breath becomes deeper. You drift into a state where time stretches, melts, and settles into peaceful stillness, just like the luminous twilight that blankets Venus eternally. At the north and south poles of Mars lie giant caps of frozen carbon dioxide and water ice that expand and retreat with the passing of Martian seasons. Imagine standing near one of these vast, icy plains, the cold air still and thin, the horizon stretching endlessly under a salmon-pink sky. When winter arrives, the polar cap grows quietly outward, covering the ground in delicate frost. As spring warms the atmosphere, the frozen carbon dioxide transforms directly into gas, lifting into the air in a silent exhale. The ice doesn't crack loudly the way it might on Earth. There is too little air to carry sound. Instead, the transformation is gentle, almost invisible. Over millions of years, these caps have grown, shrunk, and shifted with a slow grace, recording the rhythm of Martian climate like pages in a cosmic diary. As you imagine this frozen world breathing through its icy cycles, you begin to sense a calm pulse inside you. Slow, predictable, comforting. The rise and fall of the ice mirrors the inhale and exhale of your thoughts, inviting your mind to settle into peaceful harmony with Mars' ancient, steady rhythm. 3 of Jupiter's largest moons, Io, Europa, and Ganymede, move in a rhythmic gravitational dance known as orbital resonance. Imagine these moons gliding through space like perfectly timed instruments in a quiet cosmic symphony. Io completes 4 orbits for every 2 of Europa's and every 1 of Ganymede's, creating a gentle pattern that repeats endlessly. This resonance pulls and pushes the moons ever so slightly, generating subtle heat deep inside them. Europa's hidden ocean rises and falls with these tides, like a silent sea breathing beneath ice. Io's volcanic plains glow faintly with warmth created by the same gravitational tug. Ganymede, the largest moon in the solar system, holds its own magnetic field, calm, steady, unique. Together, these 3 worlds orbit Jupiter as though following an unspoken melody, their timing perfect, their movement smooth. As you imagine their synchronized motion, you may feel your thoughts aligning with the same gentle rhythm. The resonance becomes a soft pulse in your mind, steady and relaxing, guiding you toward deeper tranquility, an internal harmony shaped by celestial motion. Though Mercury has almost no atmosphere, it releases tiny particles from its surface when struck by solar radiation and micrometeorites. These particles, mainly sodium, float around the planet and form a faint, glowing tail that stretches millions of kilometers into space. Imagine Mercury drifting quietly in its orbit, trailing a soft mist of golden light like the shimmering tail of a slow, gentle comet. This tail is invisible to the naked eye, yet through sensitive instruments it glows faintly, like candlelight seen through fog. The particles move leisurely, pushed outward by the sun's soft but persistent pressure. Nothing about this process is violent. Instead, it resembles gentle dust drifting lazily through a beam of sunlight. As Mercury circles the sun, its delicate tail expands and contracts, responding to subtle changes in solar wind. When you imagine this quiet, golden drift stretching behind a tiny gray world, you may feel your own thoughts beginning to trail off in the same peaceful way. Long, slow exhalations of light and calm that reach far into the quiet space of your mind. The planets of the solar system did not always orbit where they do today. Over billions of years, they migrated gently outward or inward, guided by gravitational currents that flowed through the early solar system like slow-moving cosmic tides. Imagine the planets drifting through a vast ocean of dust and gas, shifting their positions with the patience of mountains growing or glaciers flowing. Jupiter moved slightly inward, influencing the formation of the asteroid belt. Saturn followed, their combined gravitational resonance shaping the layout of many smaller worlds. Uranus and Neptune drifted outward, settling into calmer orbits where they now glow quietly in the distant dark. This migration was not abrupt or chaotic. It unfolded with the softness of drifting clouds, stretched over unimaginable timescales. As you imagine planets slowly finding their places, like pieces of a grand cosmic puzzle aligning themselves, you feel a similar settling inside you. A sense that everything eventually finds its quiet orbit, its natural rhythm. Your thoughts drift into place the same way, aligning into peaceful patterns, bringing you gently closer to a state of deep rest. Every year, the moon drifts a tiny bit farther from Earth, about 3.8 centimeters, moving away in a slow, graceful retreat that has continued for billions of years. Imagine watching the moon hanging in the night sky, bright and familiar, unaware that it is gently slipping farther into space with each passing moment. This movement is incredibly slow, far too subtle to notice during a lifetime. But over eons it reshapes tides, days, and even the rhythms of life on Earth. Long ago, the moon appeared much larger in the sky and circled Earth far more quickly, pulling the oceans in stronger, more dramatic tides. But now, its distance creates softer, more peaceful cycles, gradual rises and falls of water that echo like the calm breathing of the planet. As you imagine the moon drifting outward, picture it moving with the grace of a lantern floating away over a quiet sea. There is no urgency, no struggle, only a gentle, eternal glide. Your thoughts begin to follow that same drifting motion, slowly stepping away from the noise of the day, rising into a quiet mental space where calm expands like the widening orbit of the moon. The sun is not perfectly constant. It breathes in long, gentle cycles that last about 11 years. These solar cycles cause the sun to brighten and dim ever so slightly, like the slow pulse of a sleeping giant. Imagine the sun expanding subtly with warm light, then relaxing and softening again, following a rhythm so calm that it feels like the universe itself is breathing. Sunspots form and fade on its surface, dark patches that swirl like ink drifting through golden light. Solar flares rise and fall, but from a safe distance they feel like distant flickers, tiny ripples on a sea of radiance. These cycles influence the solar wind, which in turn shapes auroras on Earth, creating shimmering waves of color in the polar skies. As you imagine the sun's long, slow pulsations, you may feel your own breath deepen to match its ancient rhythm. The warmth expands in your imagination, then gently contracts, mirroring the sun's peaceful oscillations. This cosmic heartbeat becomes your own, soft, steady, and deeply calming. Between the planets lies vast space, quiet, empty, and peaceful. Although we imagine the solar system full of activity, most of it is made of deep, gentle darkness stretching for millions of kilometers. Imagine floating in this interplanetary space, surrounded by distant pinpoints of sunlight reflecting off the planets. There is no sound here, No wind, no pressure, just silent stillness. The sun glows far away, illuminating dust particles that drift like faint sparks in the quiet. Planets move so slowly across the sky that they appear almost still. The emptiness is not frightening but comforting, like a vast, dark ocean where nothing rushes and everything floats. In this serene space, time feels stretched, softened, almost paused. As you imagine yourself drifting through this quietliness, your thoughts begin to widen and slow. The dark, open space becomes a gentle cushion for your mind, giving you room to release the day's noise. You feel suspended in calm, as weightless and peaceful as stardust gliding through a beam of distant sunlight. The solar system is filled with dwarf planets, Ceres, Pluto, Eris, Haumea, Makemake, and many others waiting in the shadows. These small worlds exist far from the sun, drifting slowly through regions so quiet that even light takes hours to reach them. Imagine standing on one of these distant bodies, the landscape illuminated by a faint, blue-white twilight. The sun appears as a bright star rather than a blazing disk. Shadows stretch long and soft over frozen plains, and thin frost sparkles like powdered glass. Nothing moves quickly here. The cold slows everything into a peaceful stillness. Haumea spins rapidly, shaping itself into an elongated form, yet from its surface, this motion feels gentle, like slow swaying rather than spinning. Makemake drifts silently through the Kuiper belt, untouched and mysterious. These worlds are isolated, but not lonely. They exist in a tranquil rhythm, circling the sun with quiet resolve. As you imagine these faraway planets drifting in the dark, your mind begins to mirror their peaceful pace, settling into a spacious calm where thoughts move slowly, like distant orbits. Planetary rings, those delicate halos of ice and rock, follow precise geometric patterns shaped by gravity's gentle hand. Saturn's rings may be the most dramatic, but Uranus, Neptune, and even Jupiter wear their own subtle circles. Imagine drifting near Saturn's rings, watching billions of icy particles glide like snowflakes in slow motion. Shepherd moons move along the edges, guiding the rings into perfect curves, preventing them from spreading outward. The spaces between rings, called gaps, form naturally, creating bands of dark stillness between bright arcs of ice. From afar, the rings appear solid, but up close they resemble a quiet snowfall suspended in time. Light scatters through them in soft glimmers, lighting up the dust like floating stars. As you imagine these quiet, sweeping structures circling their planets, you feel the geometry settling into your thoughts, orderly, calming, repetitive. The rings become a symbol of gentle structure, a reminder that even the cosmos has peaceful patterns, guiding your mind toward a similar harmony, smooth, circular, steady. The solar system is filled with tiny dust grains drifting in long, quiet spirals around the sun. These grains come from comets, asteroids, and ancient collisions, but once formed, they settle into peaceful, glowing paths known as the zodiacal cloud. Imagine these particles as tiny sparks, floating in a sea of sunlight that fills the inner solar system. At dawn and dusk, this dust becomes visible from Earth as a faint, triangular glow on the horizon called zodiacal light, a gentle shimmer that looks like soft silver smoke rising from the sun. Each particle drifts slowly inward, guided by sunlight's subtle pressure. The process takes thousands, even millions of years, giving the dust a timeless, dreamlike quality. As you imagine this vast cloud of glowing grains, your thoughts begin to scatter softly like dust motes in a quiet room, settling into slow spirals that bring your mind closer to rest, closer to peace. The 8 planets move around the sun in a grand, silent ballet, each following an orbit shaped by billions of years of cosmic choreography. Imagine watching this dance from far above, seeing Mercury's small, swift steps, Venus's smooth circular glide, Earth's balanced loop, and Mars's reddish arc farther out. Jupiter and Saturn move in broad, elegant sweeps, while Uranus and Neptune drift like slow dancers at the edge of the stage. No planet collides, none crosses another's path. Their movements are predictable, serene, and harmonious. The entire solar system rotates like a vast music box powered not by sound, but by silent gravity. As you imagine this slow, celestial performance, the steady motion begins to calm your mind. The orbits become a peaceful pattern, an endless, reliable rhythm that encourages your thoughts to align with the same steady grace. Like planets circling the sun, your inner world finds its quiet trajectory, gently guiding you toward deeper stillness. On the moon, where there is no atmosphere, nothing stirs the dust except the rare touch of a meteor or the shadow of a passing spacecraft. Imagine standing on this silent surface, the sky a pure, unbroken black, the sun shining without flicker, and the ground covered in fine, soft gray regolith. Footprints remain unchanged for thousands of years because no wind ever blows to erase them. The horizon appears closer, curved, giving everything a cozy, enclosed feeling. Far off, Earth rises, a glowing blue sphere hanging in tranquil stillness. The silence is absolute, deeper than anything you've ever known. As you imagine this, your mind begins to quiet too, shedding layers of noise until only soft stillness remains. The moon's ancient calm settles into your breathing, leaving you weightless and deeply at ease. In the region beyond Jupiter, sunlight becomes soft and pale, spreading through space like a thin golden mist. Everything moves slowly here. Saturn drifts in quiet grandeur, Uranus rolls gently on its side, and Neptune circles farther out, glowing like a distant blue lantern. Imagine floating in this region of space, where the sun is no longer a brilliant orb but a bright, comforting star. The cold is profound, but not harsh. It brings a quiet clarity, a stillness that feels like the pause between 2 deep breaths. Dust particles drift lazily through the faint sunlight. The planets appear as smooth beads of light on threads of orbit, all moving with patient calm. As you imagine this distant region, you feel your thoughts becoming cool, slow, and spacious, like the light that reaches these faraway worlds, traveling gently across the void. The entire solar system travels through the Milky Way in a slow, majestic orbit that takes about 230 million years to complete. Imagine the sun and its planets drifting like a glowing caravan across the galaxy, moving through star fields, interstellar clouds, and quiet cosmic dust. The motion is smooth, unhurried, and steady, so slow that countless civilizations could rise and fall before the solar system finishes a single trip. As it drifts, the constellations change, stars shift position, and distant nebulae pass by like soft clouds in a cosmic sky. The sun carries its planets gently, like lanterns hanging from invisible threads, their orbits remaining intact despite the immense journey. As you imagine this vast movement, you sense a deep, cosmic patience settling inside you. The idea that everything is drifting peacefully through space, without rush, without noise, invites your thoughts to follow the same path. You begin to drift along with it, gently and naturally, toward a state of rest. The sun is more than a star. It is the quiet anchor that holds every planet, moon, and drifting particle in the solar system together. Imagine the sun not as a roaring furnace, but as a warm, glowing heart suspended in the quiet darkness of space. Its gravity stretches outward like soft, invisible threads, gently guiding the planets along their steady orbits. Even tiny dust grains feel its pull, drifting into spirals shaped by the sun's patient embrace. Inside the sun, hydrogen atoms merge with peaceful regularity, releasing light that travels outward in calm waves, taking thousands of years to reach the surface, and then 8 quiet minutes to reach Earth. This journey is slow, steady, and uninterrupted, like a river of light flowing gently into the solar system. As you imagine this golden radiance spreading through space, softening as it travels, you feel the same calm warmth settling into your thoughts. The sun's presence becomes a reminder that even in vast emptiness, there is a center, a calm point that holds everything in place. Let that feeling become your own center, drawing your thoughts into stillness, like planets resting in gentle orbit. Each planet moves along its orbit with a rhythm so perfect that the pattern has remained unchanged for billions of years. Imagine watching the solar system from high above, seeing each planet follow the same graceful path again and again. Mercury loops quickly around the sun, while Venus glides slowly and smoothly. Earth makes its balanced journey in one quiet year, and Mars adds its reddish arc with patient constancy. Farther out, Jupiter and Saturn sweep through their wide orbits like grand dancers performing long, slow motions, while Uranus and Neptune drift along in tranquil circles at the edge. Nothing interrupts this rhythm. No planet strays from its path. Gravity keeps everything in a soft, harmonious flow, like a perfectly timed waltz playing in deep space. As you imagine these elegant motions unfolding in silence, your thoughts begin to move with them. Slow, repetitive, predictable. This cosmic choreography becomes a calming backdrop for your mind, a smooth rotation that invites you to drift into a quiet mental orbit of your own, releasing any jagged or hurried thoughts into the vast calm of the solar system. Jupiter emits more heat than it receives from the sun, producing a warm, internal glow that radiates gently through its thick, swirling atmosphere. Imagine this giant world as a softly lit sphere, warmed from within like an enormous lantern floating in space. Deep inside Jupiter, hydrogen is compressed into exotic forms, creating a slow-burning warmth that rises through layers of gas. These layers swirl in calm currents, painting the planet with broad bands of creamy whites, warm browns, and soft oranges. From afar, the storms and cloud bands appear powerful, but they move in smooth, flowing patterns reminiscent of brushstrokes on a vast canvas. Even the Great Red Spot, a storm larger than Earth, turns slowly, its motion gentle from the distance of space. As you imagine Jupiter glowing softly, its warmth radiating outward into the cold void, the image becomes comforting, like the glow of a fire seen through frosted glass. The planet's deep, ancient heat seems to promise that even in darkness, warmth persists. Let that warmth fill your imagination, melting tension and inviting your mind to rest. Comets spend most of their lives sleeping in the cold outskirts of the solar system, drifting slowly in wide, elongated orbits that take thousands or even millions of years to complete. Imagine these icy travelers floating in deep darkness, untouched for ages, carrying ancient materials from the earliest days of the universe. When they finally approach the sun, warmth gently awakens them, releasing vapor and dust that form glowing tails. These tails flow behind the comet like luminous, silk ribbons unfurling in slow motion. From a distance, the motion appears peaceful, almost meditative. The comet arcs gracefully around the sun, then drifts calmly back into the cold, where its tail fades and it returns to quiet slumber. As you imagine this long, gentle journey, this cycle of sleeping, awakening, glowing, and resting, you may feel a similar rhythm settling inside you. The comet's patient orbit becomes a metaphor for your own cycles of energy and rest, reminding you that it's natural to move slowly, to glow briefly, and then to return to stillness. Let this image guide you toward your own quiet return to rest. Throughout the solar system, scattered dust particles reflect sunlight in a faint, beautiful glow known as the zodiacal light. Imagine standing in a desert at dawn or dusk, watching a soft, triangular beam rise from the horizon like the quiet glow of distant lanterns. This light is created by countless tiny grains, remnants of comets, asteroids, and cosmic collisions, floating in gentle arcs around the sun. They drift for millions of years, untouched and unhurried, forming a luminous haze that fills the inner solar system. Even though each grain is smaller than a grain of sand, together they create something vast and soothing, a soft halo of cosmic dust. As you imagine this morning or evening glow, your mind fills with the same gentle illumination. The zodiacal light becomes a symbol of quiet persistence, showing how even the smallest, most delicate things can create beauty when they move together in calm harmony. Let this faint, peaceful radiance wash over your thoughts, softening them into a smooth, tranquil glow. At Neptune's distance, sunlight is so faint that the entire planet exists in a world of extended twilight. Imagine a realm where day feels like a gentle, muted blue glow and night fades into a deep, serene indigo. Neptune's winds swirl in broad, sweeping motions, painting the atmosphere with subtle patterns. Even its storms, though enormous, move gracefully, smooth spirals drifting in silence across the vast blue surface. Around Neptune, faint rings and small moons drift like quiet companions, illuminated only by the soft glimmer of reflected sunlight. Triton, Neptune's largest moon, orbits in a gentle retrograde path, following a tranquil route opposite the planet's rotation, as though moving through its own dreamlike rhythm. As you imagine standing on a floating platform above Neptune, the distant sun glowing like a tiny pearl in the sky, your thoughts begin to absorb this calm twilight. The stillness of this faraway world wraps around your mind like a cool, blue blanket, guiding you gently toward rest. Uranus is tilted so dramatically that it spins on its side, creating seasons unlike anywhere else in the solar system. Imagine a world where one pole can face the sun for decades at a time, bathing half the planet in soft, continuous daylight, while the other half rests in long, tranquil darkness. The effect is strange, yet beautiful, slow, sweeping seasons that unfold with the pace of glaciers drifting across a quiet valley. Uranus itself glows in pale shades of blue-green, its atmosphere smooth and serene, free from the dramatic storms of Jupiter or Neptune. Its thin rings circle the planet vertically like peaceful brushstrokes, and its moons drift around it in calm, orderly paths. As you imagine watching Uranus rotate gently on its side, the unusual orientation evokes a feeling of dreamlike serenity. The planet's sideways posture becomes a metaphor for letting go of expectations, showing that even when things tilt or shift, they can still move gracefully. Let Uranus' calm and balance guide your thoughts into a relaxed state where nothing needs to be perfect, only peaceful. Above the sun's surface lies the corona, a vast halo of superheated plasma stretching millions of kilometers into space. Despite its incredible temperature, the corona's appearance is delicate, soft, white tendrils that ripple like silk in the emptiness. Imagine watching a total solar eclipse, seeing the moon slide perfectly in front of the sun, revealing the corona's quiet glow for a few precious minutes. It appears as a luminous crown, radiating calm light into the darkness. Though the particles within it move rapidly, the corona looks peaceful from afar, its gentle streams shaped by magnetic fields that form elegant loops and arches. As you imagine this ethereal glow shimmering in the darkened sky, a sense of wonder deepens the quiet inside you. The corona's beauty comes from its contrast, intense energy expressed softly. Let that duality settle in your thoughts, strength expressed as serenity, power expressed as calm, helping your mind drift into quiet equilibrium. Tidal forces, caused by gravity stretching and pulling objects, shape many worlds in quiet, profound ways. Imagine oceans rising gently on Earth as the moon tugs softly at the water, creating calm, rhythmic tides. These same forces warm the interiors of moons like Europa and Enceladus, causing their hidden oceans to swell and contract in silent cycles. Io, Jupiter's volcanic moon, glows with internal heat created by tides kneading its surface like warm clay. Even distant dwarf planets feel these gentle pulls, subtly shifting their shapes and orbits. Tidal forces are silent, invisible, and patient, working over thousands or millions of years. As you imagine these gravitational whispers flowing between worlds, your thoughts begin to follow the same rhythmic pattern, stretching softly, releasing slowly, finding a natural cadence. This quiet, pull and relax motion becomes a soothing tide inside your mind, helping each thought drift peacefully toward the shoreline of rest. Sunlight takes 8 minutes to travel from the sun to Earth, but it takes hours to reach Jupiter and more than 4 hours to touch Neptune. Imagine these beams of light drifting across the solar system, moving at unimaginable speed, yet appearing calm when seen from afar. Each planet receives its own version of sunlight, bright and warm on Earth, soft and golden on Mars, pale and ghost-like in the outer regions. Tiny dust particles glimmer when touched by it, creating faint halos around asteroids and comets. Even in the farthest darkness, sunlight still arrives, soft, gentle, patient. As you imagine these rays spreading outward, illuminating each world with its unique glow, you feel your own thoughts becoming lighter. The sunlight becomes a quiet guide, moving through your mind, illuminating each corner just enough to reveal calmness. Let the image of sunlight traveling across billions of kilometers settle into you, reminding you that peace can arrive slowly, but it always arrives. Far beyond Neptune lies the Kuiper Belt, a vast ring of icy worlds drifting in a region where sunlight fades into a soft, silver whisper. Imagine entering this quiet frontier where countless frozen objects, small and large, float gently through the dark like lanterns suspended in a black ocean. Everything here feels slowed, stretched, softened by distance. Pluto glides through this realm with calm authority, while Haumea spins quickly, its elongated shape reflecting faint light like a shard of icy glass. Makemake drifts in the dim glow, carrying secrets locked beneath its frozen crust. Even tiny fragments of ice and rock move in patient arcs, following orbits older than recorded history. There is no sound, no rush, no turbulence, only the vast hush of deep space. As you imagine this icy expanse, its stillness wraps around your mind like a thick blanket. Your thoughts slow to match the pace of drifting ice, and your inner world becomes as calm as the faint twilight that lingers at the edge of the solar system. Every planet, moon, asteroid, and grain of dust in the solar system carries a silent memory of its birth, a faint echo from the swirling nebula that once filled this region with warm light and drifting gas. Imagine looking back billions of years, seeing the early sun glowing softly at the center of a vast cloud. Dust grains collided gently, forming clumps that grew slowly, layer upon layer, into small bodies. Some became planets, some moons, some asteroids, and some remained as dust drifting peacefully through space. This entire process unfolded like a slow-motion dream. No sound, only motion and light. Even now, in meteorites that fall to Earth, we find minerals that formed in the earliest moments of the solar system's creation. These tiny grains have traveled through darkness for billions of years, carrying whispers of heat, starlight, and cosmic chemistry. As you imagine this origin story, your thoughts begin to soften into a similar calm. You feel connected to the long, gentle unfolding of time. The universe has moved slowly from the beginning, and that slowness invites you into deep rest. The sun's influence extends unimaginably far, stretching past planets, past dwarf planets, past the Kuiper Belt, and into a distant, quiet region where its energy becomes faint but still present. Imagine this vast reach as a long, warm breath traveling outward for billions of kilometers. Even in regions where the sun appears as just another bright star, it continues to guide the slow drift of icy bodies. Comets sleep in the Oort cloud because the sun's distant gravity still cradles them, holding them loosely in place. As Voyager spacecraft move outward, they pass gradually from the sun's domain into interstellar space, crossing boundaries where solar particles fade into emptiness. The transition is gentle, subtle, like stepping from warm twilight into cool night. As you imagine the sun's reach fading softly at the edges, you may feel the same gentle fading inside your mind, your thoughts growing quieter, your awareness drifting outward into calm, spacious stillness. Gravity shapes every orbit, every ring, every drifting particle in the solar system, but its touch is gentle, more like a slow sculptor than a forceful hand. Imagine gravity as a quiet artist guiding worlds into smooth, elegant paths. It molds the arcs of comets, shapes the circles of planets, and aligns the rhythmic dance of moons. Jupiter's gravity shepherds asteroids into stable positions, Saturn's gravity forms precise gaps within its rings. Earth's gravity keeps the moon in its soft, steady orbit. Nothing about gravity feels rushed. It works over billions of years, sculpting motion with infinite patience. Even when objects collide, the aftermath eventually settles into new harmony, guided by the same gentle pull. As you imagine this cosmic sculpting, you feel gravity inside your own thoughts, pulling them downward into rest, guiding them toward stillness. The universe does not hurry anything, and as you align with its pace, your mind softens into quiet acceptance, drifting effortlessly toward peace. Across the solar system, tiny human-made spacecraft travel silently through the void, their antennas pointed home like delicate silver needles. Voyager, Pioneer, Cassini, New Horizons, all drift without sound, carried by momentum through a realm where nothing interrupts their slow passage. Imagine one of these small explorers gliding past Jupiter or Saturn, its instruments absorbing faint signals, its body warmed only by the distant sun or tiny nuclear generators. The spacecraft moves with a serene determination, unaffected by wind, weather, or noise. Its path is smooth, predictable, calm. Decades pass, yet it continues onward, slipping quietly into deeper darkness. As you imagine riding along with such a spacecraft, you feel weightless, unburdened by gravity or sound. The emptiness around you becomes a soothing presence. The slow, continuous motion invites your mind to wander gently, releasing tension as if you, too, are drifting into the quiet frontier of interstellar space. Light travels across the solar system not in jolts or bursts, but in smooth, continuous waves, gentle ripples moving through the darkness. Imagine each beam of sunlight as a soft vibration, stretching from the sun to the planets in long, elegant threads. Even starlight from distant galaxies arrives on Earth as faint waves that have traveled for millions of years without ever losing their calm rhythm. Radio waves used to communicate with distant spacecraft move in similar patterns, soft pulses of information that drift through space at the speed of light. These waves pass effortlessly through emptiness, quiet and unwavering. As you imagine this gentle movement, think of your own thoughts as soft waves too, rising and falling with peaceful regularity. The idea that information, heat, and even color reach us through calm, invisible ripples helps your mind settle. Everything in the universe moves in waves, and those waves can guide you into a soothing, rhythmic state, like drifting on gentle ocean swells. Beneath the frozen crusts of moons like Europa, Enceladus, and Triton lie vast oceans kept warm by gentle tidal heating. Imagine standing on the icy surface of Europa, the ground beneath you glowing faintly blue from reflected sunlight. Below your feet, an entire ocean stretches for miles, warmed by quiet gravitational forces that knead the moon's interior like soft clay. This hidden sea moves slowly, its waters shifting in dark, peaceful currents. On Enceladus, icy geysers erupt silently into space, releasing tiny flecks of ocean water that freeze into snow-like particles. Yet the ocean below remains calm, shielded by a thick layer of ice. These oceans may hold life or simply remain as tranquil reservoirs in eternal darkness. As you imagine these hidden worlds of warm water beneath frozen shells, you feel a similar warmth beneath the surface of your thoughts, a deep, gentle calm rising slowly, quietly, guiding you toward rest. Tides aren't unique to Earth. Moons and planets across the solar system experience their own versions of tidal rhythms. Imagine the crust of Europa rising and falling as Jupiter pulls softly at it, creating slow, rhythmic movements that repeat endlessly. On Titan, methane lakes ripple in response to Saturn's distant tug, forming tiny waves that move over glassy surfaces. Even Neptune's moon Triton feels gentle tidal forces shaping its icy crust in slow, almost imperceptible pulses. These tidal rhythms act like planetary heartbeats, quiet, regular, ancient. As you imagine these silent movements flowing across distant worlds, your thoughts begin to move in similar patterns. Each inhale becomes a rising tide, each exhale a gentle retreat. The solar system is full of hidden rhythms, and as you align with them, you find yourself drifting into a calm internal tide, steady and soothing. Trojan asteroids share orbits with planets, drifting ahead of or behind them in regions of gravitational balance called Lagrange points. Imagine these asteroids as quiet companions, moving with each planet like soft shadows floating along a gentle path. Jupiter's Trojans form vast swarms, yet each asteroid maintains a respectful distance from the others, gliding in slow harmony. Neptune and even Earth have their own Trojans, tiny worlds keeping silent company on their long journeys around the Sun. The asteroids never rush or collide. They follow smooth, stable paths that have remained unchanged for billions of years. As you imagine these cosmic companions drifting calmly beside their planets, a sense of consistent support fills your thoughts. Just as planets are never truly alone in their orbits, you may feel gently accompanied by the quiet presence of calmness surrounding you, guiding your mind into peaceful alignment. Every planet in the solar system experiences dawn, a slow brightening as sunlight creeps across its surface. Imagine dawn on Mars, where sunlight glows pink through dusty air, revealing soft shadows across red plains. On Mercury, dawn rises suddenly but silently, illuminating craters that have slept in darkness for weeks. On Jupiter's moon Europa, dawn spreads blue light across icy ridges, giving the surface a quiet, crystalline glow. Even in the distant outer worlds, dawn arrives, soft, faint, patient. On Neptune, dawn is barely more than a subtle shift from deep blue to slightly lighter blue, yet it brings a sense of renewal. As you imagine this universal dawn touching each world with gentle light, you feel a similar softening within yourself. The idea that morning reaches every corner of the solar system, even the coldest, darkest regions, reminds you that calmness can reach your mind too, creeping in quietly, spreading light across your thoughts, guiding you into restful peace. Cosmic rays, tiny, energetic particles from distant stars, drift into the solar system in faint, quiet waves. Most are gently slowed or deflected by the sun's magnetic field, spreading out like mist as they enter the heliosphere. Imagine these particles as tiny sparks moving through the dark, their paths softened by the sun's protective influence. They travel through enormous distances, untouched by gravity, drifting until they meet the calm barrier of the heliosphere. Once inside, their motion becomes gentle, like embers floating through a cool breeze. Earth's magnetic field shields us even further, guiding these particles harmlessly around the planet. As you imagine this soft diffusion, energy transformed into whisper-light motion, your thoughts begin to diffuse the same way. Sharp edges dissolve, Worries scatter like tiny sparks drifting into a peaceful haze. You feel the universe's quiet filtering process happening inside your mind, leaving only calm, slow-moving thoughts. Throughout the solar system, long streams of ancient meteor fragments orbit the sun, remnants of comets that shed their dusty trails over thousands of years. Imagine these streams as long, invisible rivers of particles drifting through space, waiting for Earth to pass through them. When we do, these particles burn gently in the atmosphere, creating soft streaks of light known as meteor showers. Picture lying under the night sky, watching tiny flashes glide silently overhead, the soft remnants of icy travelers long gone. Each streak is a memory of the solar system's past, a brief whisper of cosmic history. The meteors do not rush or roar. They drift into Earth's atmosphere and fade quickly, like sparks catching the wind. As you imagine these gentle showers, your mind begins to follow the pattern of falling light, each thought drifting downward, glowing briefly, then disappearing into calm darkness. The streams continue circling the sun, endlessly patient, endlessly quiet. The solar system is painted in soft, natural colors, subtle tones shaped by light, dust, ice, and rock. Imagine walking through a cosmic gallery where each world glows with its own muted palette. Mercury's surface is charcoal gray, warmed by golden sunlight. Venus glows in thick layers of amber and cream. Earth shines in deep blues and gentle greens. Mars rests in shades of rust, peach, and rose. Jupiter swirls in warm browns and pale whites. Saturn glows with honey-colored light. Uranus is a soft seafoam blue, while Neptune appears as a deep, soothing sapphire. Even distant dwarfs like Pluto shimmer with faint hues of pink, tan, and icy blue. These colors are not loud. They're gentle, calming, like pastel watercolor strokes across a dark canvas. As you imagine drifting past each planet, watching these tranquil colors blend into the blackness of space, the hues seem to wash over your mind. Your thoughts soften, tinted by the universe's quiet color scheme, helping you settle into a peaceful, dreamy state. Across the solar system, celestial bodies often fall into rhythmic orbital patterns called resonances, gravitational dances where their orbits line up in repeating sequences. Imagine Jupiter's moons Io, Europa, and Ganymede moving in a precise 1:2:4 ratio, like three dancers gliding in perfect timing. Neptune and Pluto share a calm 2:3 resonance, ensuring they never collide despite crossing paths. Even tiny asteroids fall into resonances with planets, settling into gentle rhythms that keep their orbits stable for billions of years. These resonances are like cosmic metronomes, ticking softly through eternity. As you imagine these synchronized motions, you feel their rhythms settling into your thoughts, smooth, steady, predictable. The universe is full of patterns, many hidden from sight, but always present, shaping motion with patient precision. Let these rhythms become your own, guiding your mind into a slow, gentle dance toward rest. Each planet in the solar system has its own atmosphere, or lack thereof, shaped by quiet chemical interactions happening over immense timescales. Imagine standing on Venus, where carbon dioxide creates a thick, golden haze, or on Mars, where thin air carries only soft whispers of wind. Jupiter and Saturn have deep atmospheres of hydrogen and helium, blending in swirling, cloud-like layers that move gracefully across their surfaces. Uranus and Neptune contain methane, giving them their tranquil blue tones. Even worlds without significant atmospheres, like Mercury or the Moon, experience a faint exosphere where atoms drift like dust in sunlight. These atmospheres evolve slowly, never rushed, shaped by temperature, sunlight, and gravity. As you imagine these invisible layers surrounding each world, you sense a similar layering inside your mind. Thoughts rise and fall gently, like gases mixing, forming soft gradients of calm. The chemistry of planets becomes a metaphor for your own inner balance, a quiet mixture, settling peacefully into place. Starlight, though gentle, carries enough pressure to push tiny particles through space. Imagine light as a delicate touch, nudging dust grains into slow spirals around the sun. These particles drift away from comets and asteroids, carried by the faint push of photons, particles of light traveling at unimaginable speeds, yet behaving like soft breezes. This pressure forms tails on comets and clears dust into elegant patterns across the solar system. Even spacecraft feel this gentle push, allowing solar sails to glide using nothing but the quiet force of sunlight. As you imagine this invisible pressure, you feel a soft guiding sensation inside your thoughts. Light moves dust not by force, but by patience, nudging, encouraging, guiding. Let that become your mindset, a gentle shift toward calm, carried by the soft momentum of your own inner light. Every planet casts a long, dark shadow into space, an elongated cone where sunlight never reaches. Imagine drifting into Earth's shadow, where daylight fades into a cool, velvety darkness. Stars brighten around you, the planets glow reflecting softly from above. Jupiter's shadow is enormous, stretching far into space, and its moons glide through it regularly, causing silent eclipses that dim their reflected light. Saturn's shadow spills across its rings, painting soft, curved stripes of darkness and light. Even tiny asteroids cast shadows that drift like invisible sails behind them. As you imagine traveling through these planetary shadows, you may feel a cooling calm settle into your mind. Shadows are not frightening. Here, they are gentle shelters, quiet oases in the sunlight. Inside this cosmic shade, your thoughts slow, your breath deepens, and you drift into peaceful dimness, like entering a silent room after a long, bright day. Planetary rings are not static. Waves move through them like ripples on a quiet pond. Imagine standing on a small spacecraft above Saturn's rings, watching gentle patterns spread outward as moonlets pass through the icy particles. These waves move slowly, forming spirals, ridges, and soft undulations shaped by subtle gravitational interactions. Some waves rise a few meters high, others span hundreds of kilometers, yet all move with delicate rhythm. Uranus and Neptune have their own faint waves too, visible only through careful observation. The rings respond to the smallest gravitational whispers, turning those whispers into graceful dances. As you imagine these slow-moving waves gliding through icy particles, your mind mirrors their behavior. Thoughts ripple gently outward, each one softer than the last, dissolving into calm. The rings become a metaphor for your inner world, sensitive to disturbances, but always capable of smoothing into peaceful patterns. Solar storms release bursts of charged particles, but by the time they travel across space, their intensity softens, spreading into wide, gentle fronts. Imagine a solar storm not as an explosion, but as a warm wave of energy drifting through the solar system. Earth's magnetic field catches this energy and redirects it toward the poles, turning it into auroras, soft, shimmering curtains of green, purple, and blue. Jupiter and Saturn have their own auroras, glowing in enormous, silent rings of light. These storms take days to travel, their energy stretching thin, diffusing into space like a fading echo. As you imagine this soft cosmic wave, you sense a similar wave inside you, energy rising, spreading, then settling. Nothing sudden, nothing sharp, only a gentle movement guiding you toward a quieter state of mind. No matter where you travel in the solar system, on a moon, a planet, or drifting through space, the night sky is always there, vast and unbroken. Imagine looking up from the surface of Mars, seeing stars twinkling through thin air, or from Europa's icy surface, where Jupiter looms huge and glowing. On Mercury, the sky is always black, even during daytime, revealing stars that shine steadily. In the outer solar system, the stars appear sharper, clearer, undisturbed by atmospheric flickering. This endless night sky is a constant presence, a calm veil stretching across every world. As you imagine this dark, star-filled horizon surrounding you, you feel embraced by its stillness. The stars become points of steady light, guiding your mind into deep quiet. The night sky of the solar system becomes your own mental sky, vast, peaceful, and ready to cradle your thoughts into rest. Some worlds in the solar system hold canyons so large and deep that they feel like silent scars across ancient surfaces. Imagine standing at the edge of Valles Marineris on Mars, a canyon so vast it stretches for thousands of kilometers, with cliffs taller than any mountain on Earth. Yet despite its size, the canyon rests in perfect stillness. The thin Martian atmosphere carries almost no sound, so even if small landslides occur, they slip in near silence. Light filters softly through dust, painting the canyon walls in muted shades of red and gold. Shadows stretch long and slow, moving with the planet's gentle rotation. On other worlds, like the icy moons of Jupiter, chasms form when ice cracks and shifts, leaving deep blue fractures that glow faintly in scattered sunlight. As you imagine these enormous spaces filled with quiet air, or no air at all, your mind begins to feel spacious too. You sense the relief of wide-open calmness, a mental canyon where thoughts have room to settle gently at the bottom, leaving your inner world smooth, quiet, and deeply restful. On small moons, where gravity is weak and air non-existent, dust behaves differently, moving in graceful, slow arcs. Imagine standing on Phobos or Deimos, Mars' tiny moons, where a single step sends dust floating softly upward before it settles in slow motion. On the moon, dust particles cling gently to surfaces, glowing faintly in sunlight like powdered silver. If disturbed, they rise quietly, drifting back down over long, peaceful moments. There is no wind to scatter them, no sound to accompany their motion, only silent, weightless choreography. Even astronauts who walked on the moon watched dust fall like feathers in a dream. As you imagine these soft motions, your own thoughts begin to drift like moon dust, light, graceful, free from weight or urgency. Each idea rises gently, floats, and settles softly into place. The universe shows that even the smallest, simplest things can move with extraordinary calm. and that calm becomes your own as you ease deeper into rest. On distant dwarf planets like Pluto, Eris, and Charon, landscapes are carved not by water or wind, but by slow, silent shifts of ice. Imagine walking across Pluto's Sputnik Planitia, a vast plain of nitrogen ice that slowly convects like cold honey, creating smooth, polygonal patterns that glide over time. Mountains made of water ice rise like frozen sculptures, shaped by ages of pressure, collapse, and stillness. On Eris, the surface is so bright and reflective that it glitters in soft starlight, untouched by warmth. Charon has canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon, carved by the slow freezing and expansion of ancient oceans beneath its surface. None of these landscapes change quickly. They evolve in silence, at a pace so slow that millions of years pass between noticeable shifts. As you imagine these frozen worlds, their stillness begins to seep into your thoughts. The cold clarity, the gentle shaping of ice, the absence of movement, all combine to create a calming inner landscape where your mind settles like frost on quiet ground. Some worlds, like Mercury or the Moon, have exospheres, extremely thin outer atmospheres, where atoms drift like dust in sunlight. Imagine standing on Mercury at dawn, watching individual particles escape the surface as the sun gently warms them. These atoms float upward, moving silently into space, then falling back with slow, delicate motion. There is no wind to carry them, no pressure to push them, only the faint nudge of sunlight and the whisper pull of gravity. Earth's exosphere also drifts above us, a fragile layer where air becomes space and molecules move in near silence. Satellites glide through this region without disturbing it, passing through soft clouds of atoms that drift apart and come together again like tiny stars. As you imagine this whisper-light movement, you feel your own thoughts becoming sparse and airy, rising and falling gently. The exosphere becomes a metaphor for lightness, a reminder that you, too, can let certain thoughts float away softly, without force, without sound, leaving behind a clearer, quieter mind. Even in the deepest darkness of space, the solar system is filled with a faint, comforting glow. Sunlight scattered by dust creates zodiacal light near the sun, and farther out, a softer glow called the Gegenschein appears directly opposite the sun. Imagine these glows like the softest ambient light in a quiet room, barely noticeable, yet soothing. This light comes from countless interactions, dust grains reflecting sunlight, tiny particles absorbing and re-emitting faint illumination. Even starlight from distant galaxies contributes to the background brightness, washing the solar system in a soft, cosmic dusk. Nothing about this light is sharp or intrusive. It's gentle, like the dim shimmer of moonlight through thin curtains. As you imagine this subtle, universal glow surrounding all planets and moons, you may feel a similar warmth inside your thoughts. The glow becomes a quiet backdrop that calms the mind, easing harsh edges and replacing them with soft, diffused light, inviting you to drift deeper toward rest. Across billions of kilometers, spacecraft communicate with Earth using radio waves that travel through space in perfect silence. Imagine these signals as soft pulses of energy drifting through the darkness, carrying images, measurements, and whispers of distant worlds. The Deep Space Network on Earth listens patiently, receiving these faint echoes hours or even days after they are sent. The spacecraft sends each message carefully, slowly, with the calm determination of a lone traveler writing letters home. There's no sound as these signals move, only silent waves gliding through the void, unhindered, unbroken. Even at the edge of the heliosphere, Voyager still whispers to Earth, its messages arriving as faint, delicate patterns of data. As you imagine these soft communications traveling across unfathomable distances, your mind begins to mirror their slow, steady rhythm. Thoughts become like radio pulses, gentle, spaced apart, carrying only what's needed. This quiet exchange becomes a soothing pattern, helping you let go of everything unnecessary and sink deeper into peaceful silence. Many planets and moons in the solar system are slowly cooling over billions of years, their internal heat fading like embers in a long, quiet fire. Imagine Mars, once volcanic and active, now resting under a thin atmosphere, its crust slowly releasing the last of its ancient warmth. The Moon, too, once hosted magma oceans, but now lies cool and still, its interior settling into deep silence. Even Earth is cooling, though very slowly, its core radiating heat that travels upward through rock in soft, patient movements. On icy moons like Ganymede, heat from radioactive decay continues gently warming subsurface oceans. This cooling happens so slowly that entire civilizations could pass before any meaningful change occurs. As you imagine these worlds resting, cooling, and settling, you feel a similar sense of release inside yourself. The slow cooling becomes a metaphor for letting the intensity of the day fade away. Heat becomes calm. Activity becomes stillness. Your mind cools gracefully, inviting you into deeper rest. Planetary formation is a process so slow and delicate that it requires millions of years for dust grains to become pebbles, pebbles to become stones, and stones to become worlds. Imagine a region around a young star filled with drifting particles, each one tumbling quietly in a warm, hazy glow. Over time, these particles collide softly, sticking together, forming clusters that gently grow and settle into thin disks of matter. Gravity slowly pulls them into round shapes, smoothing rough edges, creating new worlds in complete silence. Nothing rushes, nothing forces. Even once a planet forms, it continues changing, gathering moons, clearing its orbit, settling into its path. As you imagine this slow unfolding, your thoughts begin to settle in the same peaceful way. You feel the patience of billion-year processes guiding your mind, reminding you that growth, change, and calm can all happen slowly. You begin to release the need for speed, allowing the quiet pace of the universe to bring you toward rest. Gravity holds everything in the solar system in place with silent, unwavering precision. Imagine these gravitational threads stretching through space like soft, invisible strings connecting planets, moons, asteroids, and dust. Each object follows its path not by forceful push, but by gentle guidance, like beads sliding along unseen wires. The sun's gravity creates the main structure, but the planets also tug subtly at one another, creating tiny shifts in orbits that unfold over centuries. Jupiter protects the inner solar system from many comets by pulling them softly away. Saturn's moons guide the shape of its rings with their delicate gravitational nudges. As you imagine this network of gentle pulls and balances, your mind begins to feel supported in the same way. Thoughts no longer float chaotically, they follow quiet, predictable paths. Gravity's cosmic order becomes your inner order, steadying you, grounding you, and letting you drift into calm alignment with the universe. In the far reaches of the solar system, worlds drift through darkness in peaceful solitude. Neptune, Pluto, Eris, and countless smaller bodies move so slowly that days, months, and years blur into ages. Imagine floating near one of these distant worlds, the sun appearing as only a bright star in the velvet black sky. The cold is deep but quiet, the silence absolute. Frost covers the ground in shimmering plains, reflecting faint light in soft glints. Nothing stirs. No winds blow. No sounds echo. These worlds drift patiently along their ancient orbits, unbothered by time or distance. As you imagine this serene isolation, your mind begins to open into spacious quietness. You feel the tranquility of being far from all noise, all urgency. A gentle sense of distance settles in your chest, distance from stress, from pressure, from worry. You drift, like these worlds, into peaceful darkness where rest comes naturally and deeply. On Mars, the atmosphere is so thin that winds whisper softly across the surface, moving dust in slow, graceful swirls. Imagine standing on a Martian plain at dusk, the sky glowing softly in rose and violet tones as the sun sinks below the horizon. A faint breeze brushes across the dusty ground, lifting tiny grains into the air. The motion is delicate, almost weightless. Unlike Earth, where wind can roar and rush, the Martian breeze moves like a sigh, quiet, patient, ancient. It shapes sand dunes slowly, pushing them grain by grain over decades. Dust devils glide across the plains like wandering spirits, swirling silently as they trace long, looping paths. As night falls, temperatures drop, and the winds soften even further, settling into near stillness beneath the faint glow of distant stars. As you imagine this gentle alien breeze, your thoughts move the same way. Soft swirls, slow motions, drifting calmly across the landscape of your mind. You feel yourself settling, grain by grain, into a peaceful inner quiet. Pluto's surface is frozen, quiet, and deeply cold, but beneath its icy heart lies a secret warmth. Scientists believe an ancient ocean may still linger far below the surface, kept from freezing solid by gentle heat from radioactive minerals. Imagine standing on Pluto's nitrogen plains, your feet on ice that hides a vast, dark ocean underneath. The sunlight is dim, creating a soft blue haze along the horizon, and the sky is filled with faint stars. Despite the cold on the surface, the hidden sea remains calm and possibly liquid, insulated by thick ice that bends slowly over time. Mountains of water ice rise like frozen waves, their edges softened by ages of quiet erosion. As you imagine this world of layers, cold above, warmth below, you begin to feel a similar layering inside yourself. Cool thoughts rest at the surface, while a deeper, gentler warmth glows quietly underneath, guiding you toward comfort and rest. Pluto's hidden ocean becomes a metaphor for your own inner calm, quiet, steady, always present. Occasionally, objects from outside the solar system drift inward, silent travelers passing through before returning to the depths of interstellar space. Oumuamua and Comet Borisov are examples, mysterious messengers shaped by distant stars. Imagine one of these visitors gliding into the solar system at extraordinary speed, yet appearing calm and steady from afar. There is no sound as it moves, only a silent slide across the blackness. Sunlight gently warms its surface for the first time in millions of years, causing faint glimmers and subtle reflections. Its path curves slightly as gravity nudges it, but nothing slows its long journey. These visitors do not stay. They simply pass through, carrying stories of distant star systems in their ancient, frozen bodies. As you imagine this quiet crossing, you may sense the beauty of temporary presence, the idea that some thoughts, like interstellar objects, simply pass through your mind without needing to remain. They come, drift softly, and move on, leaving behind only calmness. Beneath Saturn's rings lies a world of soft, shifting shadows. As the sun's rays pass through the icy particles, they create patterns of light and dark that move slowly across the planet's upper atmosphere. Imagine floating just beneath the rings, watching bands of soft illumination ripple over Saturn's clouds like gentle waves of light. Each ring casts a different shade, some pale gray, some bright silver, some nearly transparent. The effect is tranquil and dreamlike, as though the sky itself is breathing in color. The atmosphere below turns these shadows into swirling gradients, blending them into soft, creamy layers. Nothing about this scene is harsh. Everything moves with the gentlest of motions. As you visualize drifting beneath the rings, the layered shadows become like soft blankets of darkness settling in your mind. They dim your thoughts gradually, soothingly, inviting you into a state of deep, peaceful restfulness. As planets orbit the sun, they cast long, elegant shadows across space, shadows that slowly shift, lengthen, and shorten over time. Imagine watching Earth's shadow stretch into space during a lunar eclipse, darkening the moon with a soft copper glow. On Mars, its thin atmosphere softens the edges of shadows, making them appear almost brushed or feathered. Jupiter's moons pass in a shadow regularly, disappearing like silent beads slipping into darkness and reappearing moments later. Saturn's rings cast wide, curved shadows across the planet's clouds, their shapes changing with the seasons. These shifting shadows are cosmic reminders that everything moves, but nothing moves abruptly. As you imagine these slow transformations, you feel your own thoughts changing shape just as gently, stretching, softening, settling. The gradual shift of shadows becomes a soothing rhythm, signaling that it's safe to let your mind drift into dusk. Most planets and moons follow nearly circular orbits, paths shaped by eons of gravitational smoothing. Imagine looking down from high above the solar system, seeing each planet glide along a route, even track that never wobbles or falters. Mercury traces a slightly stretched path, but it, too, flows smoothly. Earth's orbit is nearly perfect, providing gentle seasonal changes. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune drift in wide circular routes that barely change over centuries. These orbits are the result of balance, speed and gravity locked in a peaceful embrace. As you imagine these circular motions, your thoughts begin to follow similar loops, returning to calm, returning to stillness, returning to center. The idea of an orbit becomes a mental refuge, a steady, reliable path that invites you to relax into predictable, soothing patterns. Every atom in your body was once part of a star that lived, glowed, and peacefully collapsed long before the solar system formed. Imagine these ancient stars growing old, their light dimming slowly as they fused the last of their fuel. When massive stars died, they released elements, carbon, oxygen, iron, into space in waves that spread quietly across the galaxy. These waves of stardust drifted through darkness, eventually becoming part of the cloud that birthed our sun and planets. Imagine floating in that ancient cloud, dust swirling around you like glowing ash in slow motion. Over time, gravity gathered the dust, forming Earth, the oceans, the air, and eventually life. As you imagine this cosmic ancestry, you may feel a deep, grounding calm. Your very existence is built from quiet, patient processes billions of years old. You are stardust that settled gently into a living form. That thought alone brings peace, like a soft reminder that you belong to a universe shaped by calm, ancient rhythms. Every orbiting body experiences a period of darkness, an orbital night, when the sun slips behind the planet or moon it circles. Imagine being in a spacecraft orbiting Earth, drifting into the planet's shadow. Sunlight fades instantly, replaced by deep, velvety darkness. Stars sharpen into brilliant points. Below, city lights glow like clusters of fireflies. After a short time, the spacecraft drifts back into sunlight, the transition soft and sudden at once. Moons, satellites, and stations all move through these peaceful nights many times a day. The ISS experiences 45 minutes of night every orbit, each one a quiet break from sunlight. As you imagine these recurring cycles of day and night, bright, then dark, then bright again, you feel your own internal rhythm aligning. Light and darkness alternate naturally. Activity gives way to rest. This orbital night becomes your cue to relax, to slip into a calm inner shadow where stillness gathers. Even far from the sun, moons like Titan, Triton, and Callisto reflect dim sunlight in ways that feel soft and otherworldly. Imagine standing on Titan, Saturn's hazy moon, where sunlight filters through golden clouds and paints the landscape with gentle amber tones. On Triton, Neptune's cold moon, the surface glows faintly blue under the distant sun, as though frozen light has settled into its icy plains. Callisto reflects gray, silvery light that feels peaceful, ancient, unchanging. None of these worlds receive strong illumination. Instead, they are touched by a delicate, dreamlike glow. As you imagine these faraway moons resting in quiet light, you may feel the illumination inside you soften as well. Brightness becomes gentle, awareness becomes calm. The soft glow of distant sunlight eases your mind into a state where everything feels hushed, remote, and wonderfully peaceful. The solar system is not still. It drifts gracefully through the Milky Way, carrying every planet, moon, and particle along in a slow, majestic journey. Imagine the sun leading this quiet caravan, pulling Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and all the others behind it as they glide through interstellar space. Stars shift slowly in the background, like distant lanterns moving past in a vast night. The entire system follows a smooth arc around the galactic center, a path that takes hundreds of millions of years. Nothing rushes, nothing strains. Everything moves together, bound by the soft pull of gravity, carried by cosmic currents older than memory. As you imagine this grand, peaceful drift, you feel yourself drifting too, your thoughts loosening, your breath deepening, your awareness expanding into gentle darkness. The solar system's calm voyage becomes your own, guiding you into the quietest, deepest layers of rest. If you're still awake, you've just drifted across 100 peaceful moments of our solar system. You've moved through rings of light, oceans beneath ice, soft planetary shadows, and ancient cosmic dust. But if your eyes are heavy now, that's exactly right. Your mind has been traveling through slow, gentle rhythms, and it's perfectly natural to feel sleepy. Let all remaining thoughts loosen their grip. Imagine yourself floating just outside Earth, watching the planet turn slowly beneath you. City lights twinkle like fireflies. Clouds drift like soft white waves. And the deep night around you feels safe, endless, quiet, warm. Take one last slow breath and let it out even more slowly. With every exhale, your body sinks deeper into your bed, into gravity, into stillness. You are held. You are safe. You can let go completely. In this moment, there is nothing you must think about, nothing you must remember, nothing waiting for you. Only rest, only sleep. Thank you for spending this quiet journey with Sleepy Science TV. May your dreams be as gentle as starlight and as peaceful as drifting through space.